So this is my part two of the reading aloud assignment, reflection and answering the questions. So I'm going to begin. How did you make the content of your book accessible to all your students? Well, I had the children gather around. I asked the children who wants to read a book. They replied, I do. And then I showed the children the Pinkalicious book and said, and one of the teachers told me that this is their favorite book that they love to read. So it just says in the assignment, choose a book to read aloud to the class. Um, that's yeah, choose something which you enjoy reading, something which you have read before. So they love this book. So I chose. That's the reason why I chose the book. And then I um, I told the children, oh, I heard this is your favorite book. Is this your favorite book? They said yes. I have this book at home. I read it. And so the children responded in a very happy, excited to come and to read the book. So that's how I even showed it in front of them. I was reading in front of them, and sometimes I would even point to words. So that's how it was accessible to other students. Um, Number two, what aspects of UDL were you able to incorporate it into your reading? So um, so for preschoolers, I didn't really use much of the UDL, but if I had in the future when I read first or do kindergarten, first or second grade, I would use an audio for English learners or students who are authority of learners, as well as use text to speech for students who have a visual disability or do not know how to read. And then I'll also do a popcorn reading, which students um, read orally for time and then calls out popcorn before selecting another student in class. So that's something that I would do. I'm using the UDL for my future classroom. How did you engage the different learners in your group? So how I engage my students by asking questions. That's how I did. Example, I was asked, what happens next? What did Pinkalicious Why wasn't Pinkalicious listening? Why did Pinkalicious turn pink? I would also ask questions predicting, oh, what do you think is going to happen next? Do you think Pinkalicious is going to eat another cupcake? Do you think she's going to turn even more pink? Um, so that's how I engage the students, asking open-ended questions of the book. Um, you know, question number four, how did you make your presentation edible for all your learners? Well, I made it equally to all my students. I allowed each student answer a question. I even asked different questions to each student. Haley, what do you think of this? Or Shreya, what do you think is going to happen? Or Isabella, do you think she's going to eat another cupcake? So I was just engaging each child, didn't leave any child left out, and just trying to engage them and reading, listening to the story and understanding that what's going on in the story. Number five, how did you provide for different language levels in your students? So the class that I read, we didn't have language learners, but if I did have language learners, I would pick a book that is in English and Spanish. As well, I know that I don't speak Spanish, so I would use a smartboard or read out loud using a tablet, a smartboard, or an audio. So I will have I will pick a story that's Spanish or in English, and I will have the smartboard or the tablet or the audio read the Spanish first, and then I will translate in English, and then read it Spanish first, and then translate in English. That's how I would do with this the Spanish speaking language on children English language learners. As well, I would even use a flannel board, or I would use puppets, or I would, point to the words slowly and read the story slowly, so they're able to understand and comprehend the book. Um, Number six, did you incorporate any academic learning language in your reading? Which I did not. How might you incorporate more academic language in the future reading? So no, so in my future reading, I will introduce vocabulary from the story. You know, that students might not know. simple words for like preschooler. What does eat mean? What does upset mean? Why, what does angry mean? More emotional words that they can understand and comprehend and learn the definition. But if I was in a kindergarten or first grade, I would ask, um, more at third grade level, that is their age appropriate. And I would think I would do like sight words. So I would pick a story that has a lot of their sight words like and, the, but, so, or simple sight words. Um, and then I will ask them, okay, so I'm gonna read the story. After reading the story, or even during the reading story, if you see a sight word that we've been working on, point it out. Say, Miss Jessie, there's a sight word, and then we can say the sight word. We can, then we can say what it means, and then we can spell it out together. So that's what I would do with academic language in my future classrooms. Or also, I would pick out different vocabulary words before the book and say, okay, what is period? Different, excuse me, different vocabulary words like a pediatrician. What does that mean? Or what does a doctor mean? Let's give a definition or words like that to review. And then once I read the story, once we hit to the word, then I say, oh, remember this word that we said we were working on before the story? What does it mean again? Can anybody tell me the definition? So simple things like that. Um, so number 7, what were the questions you asked from different levels of the taxonomy? Ask the children. So I did not. If not, what questions might you have asked the next time you read this book out loud? So the questions that I will ask: why do you think Pinkalicious turned pink? Why do you think they used pink instead of another color? Why did Pinkalicious' mom and dad did not want her to eat no more cupcakes? Who was the main characters in the story? What is the book about? What is happening to Pinkalicious? What is your favorite part of the story and why? Those are the questions that I will ask during the story, even after the story will be, what is the book about? What is happening to Pinkalicious? Um, and that's why I was also asked, why is Pinkalicious not listening to her parents? Why do you think she's acting the way she's acting? So those are different questions that I will ask. I should, once I read out loud, those are questions again, to my future classrooms. And if I ever come to that book again, which I think I will, those are the questions that I will ask. And number 8. Did you come with a present group of questions? I think I did come, reviewing the video. I did have some questions that I did ask. I was asking simple questions, but I feel like I needed to include more critical thinking. Why is this happening? Why do you think this has happened? Why do you think Piccola should turn pink? Why do you think she's eating all these cupcakes? I needed to ask more questions so to be able, so because I feel like there's some questions that I was asking, my preschoolers were able to comprehend and answer the questions. So I just needed to expand the more questions and to, so yes. Um, and then it says, how might you allow this in the future? So in the future, I will ask my students to retell the story in their own words. That's when I have my kindergarten, first or second grade. I will do a story map with my students, identifying the setting, the characteristics, plot, and theme. I will do a KWL charts with my students in the future, what I know, what I want to know, and what I learn of the story. Those are things that I will use in the future for my classroom. Then, question number 9: Did the did the children behave, interrupt, interfere with your reading? So I didn't really have interruptions during the reading, but if I did in the future, this is what I would use in my future classroom. I will model appropriate behavior. I will show them what to do during the reading time. I will go over classroom rules, how to be respectful and behavior. I will also pause during the story if I see anybody. Yeah, so those are the things that I would do to the classroom. Again, I was saying I will pause during the story time and say, okay, I see that it's not reading time. Nobody wants to sit and read a story yet. How about we do an activity of a breathing technique? Or how about let's move our bodies first? Or I'll even do an act out story. I'll act out the story and have the students join me um, acting out the story. And question 10. How specifically did you provide the different learners' needs of your English learners? So again, I did not have English learners when I was reading the story, but if I did, I will point to the words when reading the story. I will act out the story as I read and ask my students to do it with me. It's another one. I will use visual and manipulatives such as flannel boards, props, puppets for the English learners. I think that will be for my either kindergarten or first grade class. I think this will really help them to be interactive during reading time as well, engage with the children. So this is what I would use. So I'm gonna go to part C, reflection. Share what you feel your strengths and challenges throughout this read out loud experience. So I feel like my strengths are asking questions, but I think that was my only strengths. I think my challenges before reading the story, I would ask questions like predictions, like what do you think is going to happen in the story by looking in front of the cover. If you guys read the story, can you guys tell me a little bit about the story? Because Miss Jessie hasn't read it. So more questions like that. Also, I think since these children already read the story, I will use a flannel board or puppets, and I will have the children act out the story. Okay, since you guys know the story very well, let me see who could. Let's see who can be Pikalicious and who can be the mom and dad, so we can act out, so they can act out the story, just to get them more engaged. I will also ask more comprehensive questions during the story. I will also plan a small activity during the story. I will use a story map to help them reflect on what they learned about the story. And then after the story, I would um, I would again do a small activity. So those are things that I think those are challenges and that I need to work on um, to improve my read out loud when I become a future classroom. I enjoyed this activity. I learned so much about myself. So, like, what did you learn about yourself as a teacher? I seen when I was watching the video, I seen how, I was using a little bit of different voices changed, like being a mom, a dad, or um, and the sister and the brother. I think I would include that even more. Have different voice changes. The dad use a deeper voice, mom squeaky voice, just to make them more engaging as well. Also, I learned that I enjoyed reading. I enjoyed doing a read aloud with the kids. The kids were engaging with me, and I think it just brought out so much joy to myself. So I was super excited, and I enjoyed doing this excitement. So thank you so much. I hope you enjoy the reflection questions. Thank you. And thank you again, Mr. Casey, for this opportunity and taking this class for us. I learned so much from you, and I appreciate it. Thank you so much.